James, my cereals. You can catch me at the Diary for Monist. Shout out to the Monist gang. So the first time I came across the concept of food affecting your manifestation was in a book called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, which was originally written in 1938. In the book, the devil says he makes people stuff food within themselves because overeating slows down thinking capacity, endangers the heart, and causes intestinal poisoning, which also leads to negative thoughts. Looks like science has finally caught up, but before I discuss all the scientific experiments and the data that was found, I will crudely explain what manifestation is and the law of attraction. The law of attraction, crudely put, is the idea that the type of thoughts your subconscious mind thinks attracts the type of reality you live. Your thoughts release vibrations that can be scientifically measured, so in layman's term, positive thoughts create positive realities while negative thoughts create negative realities. I'll leave a link in the description where I explain why this is scientifically the case. But moving on, what does science say about how the food you eat affects your cognitive ability and the rate you vibrate at? Okay, cool. So in the book Outwitting the Devil tells Napoleon Hill that he starts to get people thinking negative thought patterns from the time they're in their mom's womb through their mom's eating habits. With that said, I found it interesting to start at Melbourne University. A study led by Felice Jacka studied 23,000 women and measured their intake of foods, such as junk foods, processed foods, and health foods, to correlate them with their kids' emotional health for the first few years, adjusted to their income and environment. Cool, so this study found that mothers who indulged in sweet drinks, salty snacks, their children tended to be aggressive, have emotional tantrums, and always stayed at the negative end of emotions. Felice Jacka is convinced of her findings of her study that a mother's diet affects the baby thinking patterns for the first few years of their lives because you are what you eat. Okay, so this is echoed by studies where kids are born in families that habitually eat junk food tend to have anxiety and nightmares. These studies have been replicated in Canada and the Netherlands. We are what we eat. The fact that the chemicals that food produces affects our decisions makes one wonder, can the food we eat affect our behaviors and thought patterns? Dr. Ab Zalberg, a clinical psychologist and a political advisor to the Dutch Ministry of Justice, believes so. His specialty is in nutrition and crime, and he was convinced that food that has good nutrients reduces aggression. So he went and carried out his experiments in 8 different prisons in the Netherlands. So for 3 months, prisoners were fed vitamins, minerals, and rich foods. They were measured how effective the food was by looking at their aggressive logs, the detainment, warden interviews, and solidarity confinement logins. After a month of change in their diet, their aggression login dropped by 1/3. The claim that the food we eat affects our thought patterns is echoed by Prof. So Young Pak. In a study in the University of Luxembourg, her study is extremely complex to explain, but in layman's terms, her study shows that the food you digest influences how you think and the decisions you make within a few hours. An example of this is foods that affect your hormones to have more trypsin, which is a building block to dopamine. And dopamine affects your decision making as it plays a role in your motivational levels and the risk-taking decisions you make. So what we eat within hours affects our brain chemical responses enough to influence our decisions. And mind you, the average person eats 3 times a day. The devil told Napoleon Hill in 1938 in the book that food is top 2 most useful tools to induce people into negative thinking. Dr. Umo Naido, a nutritionist and psychiatrist, believes that the body and mind work together as an integrated system. Her study shows that sugar and sweeteners intake strongly correlate with anxiety as they are gut disruptors. Several trials have taken place illustrating the effect on sugar and depression. Artificial sugars have a specific effect on the brain neurons in the long term. Too much habitual alcohol intake has a strong correlation with anxiety as well, according to her work. This is also mirrored by a study done at the University of Bordeaux in France, where an experiment was carried out on rats. They discovered that the lack of omega-3 acids creates anxiety, and without it the brain does not function properly. This is because omega-3 acid creates fatty acids for the brain that the body cannot make itself and needs to be ingested by foods such as almonds, veggie oils, seeds, and nuts. And according to Prof. Margaret Morris at the University of New South Wales, fast foods have a certain impact on your hippocampus, which is part of the brain that is essential for learning. The food you eat affects your cognitive ability to think and process information and to vibrate. A healthy diet is being adopted to affect brain chemicals to fight off things like depression as we speak. Prof. John Cryan, University College Cork in Ireland, experimented with the Mediterranean diet to help with depression. A study of 67 people with significant depression issues received the Mediterranean diet for 3 months. The results showed that the change in depression was correlated directly to their diet, with a severe decrease in depression. Foods like legumes, fruits, fish, olive oil, and lentils are helpful in fighting depression. Dr. Uma Naido suggests adding black pepper, turmeric, ginger, sage, rosemary, as those seem beneficial to cognitive conditions. The ideal menu for brains is still being researched and not yet clear. But what seems clear is fruits, veggies seem to be the best option. Here's a simple rule of thumb. You can eat whatever you want, but eat foods as close to nature as humanly possible. Organically raw veggies are better than cooked veggies, and cooked veggies are better than canned veggies. Even meat organically farmed animals are better than animals that are pumped with hormones. Whole food supplements might be good and useful to pocket alongside with cleanses. Cleanses such as colon cleanse, fat cleanse, mental cleanse, fasting. Be very mindful that a lot of people in the world have no access to a good diet or diet choices. What small change can you make against this problem? Because it is our responsibility. Protect the body, protect the mind to attract better. James Mansiri, you can catch me at the Diary from Honest. Tell me if you think I should do a video on the book Outwitting the Devil. If you like this content, please like and subscribe.